Hey everybody, coming live from Cock Rock, USA, it's Friends Talking Nerdy. Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Tim Jousma joining you for another episode 197 of Friends Talking Nerdy. And joining me this week, live on the beach, the greatest legal mind in the Pacific Northwest, Professor Aubrey.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
So here we are, one show removed from interviewing Matt Wadsworth from AIW. I was stoked to record that episode.
Yeah, did you have a good time talking to Matt?
Yes, indeed. As the conversation showed, because this is probably one of the few times I was ever going to be able to talk wrestling in a professional way with an actual professional in that business. So, being able to talk intelligently and having him say, "Good point. That's a good point." You know, it's like all those years of watching wrestling finally came to something.
Nice. I really wish that wrestling was more popular and there were more opportunities for commentary or analysis, or you could write articles, right, for the Wrestling Times. Unfortunately, wrestling fans don't seem to be the Wrestling Times type. Maybe there used to be a magazine.
There are definitely magazines out there. Today, though, admittedly, wrestling, the internet wrestling community as it is today is essentially tied to either, regular social media outlets or news sites. My favorite pro wrestling news site is prowrestling.net. The guy who runs it, Jason Powell, actually treats it like a journalist job. So when he puts information out, he's making sure it's sourced, checked, and double-checked. He doesn't update as much as some other sites, but that's a good thing because there are some wrestling news sites that will post anything and everything they can, even absolute lying garbage.
Sort of like the New York Post, where it's like they're just generating clicks, so...
Yeah. So there is definitely, because... there's a reporter out there, a wrestling reporter by the name of Dave Meltzer, who essentially created the wrestling journalist genre, if you will. He created in the late 70s a wrestling newsletter called the Wrestling Observer Newsletter. He's worked with preeminent sports reporter Frank DeFord on the sporting news. So he has, legitimate work. And you've actually seen him in the Dark Side of the Ring documentaries on occasion. He was the guy writing in that room full of papers. He's not a clean guy.
Many writers are that way, very disorganized, and lots of papers on their desks.
I am totally tidy. So, no, I'm kidding. No, if you saw my desk, it'd be a different story. But but in a lot of ways, that type of reporting is no different than the reporting that I did for Latino Review Media. Because what he does is, if he has contacts in the business, when he hears something and is able to vet it, he will say, this could potentially happen. And then he also does reviews of shows. Like I saw this match and it was a 2-star match. This was a 3, whatever. And that kind of led the way to, like I said, the pop culture websites doing the same thing, like the one I wrote for, Latino Review Media. It's led to people doing similar things in the podcasting world, in YouTube and Twitch and all the other platforms. So, yeah.
So would you say that wrestling was one of the first to adopt new technologies to communicate with its audience, or do you think they've been pretty far behind other entertainment venues?
No, I would say they have been, along with the porn industry, and I'm not saying that facetiously, they've been ones to take advantage of new technologies. For instance, pay-per-view. Pay-per-view was not a big thing until stuff like WrestleMania, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble started making it a big thing. Obviously, other people will say, you have people like Mike Tyson or Sugar Ray Leonard in that era too. But let's be honest, in pop culture, you were not a wrestling fan, but when you thought of sports on pay-per-view, what were you thinking of?
Boxing.
Or?
Wrestling.
Yeah, one or the other. Totally ruined my argument there. But no, they were the first. Wrestling was the first to take advantage of pay-per-view and made many millions of dollars off of that. And then think back to 2014, what the WWE did by being the first major entertainment company to essentially take their product and put it on an over-the-top streaming service like that. I mean, there were other apps like that, but they were the first big name company to take that gamble themselves. And I think what the success of the WWE network showed to other companies showed that people have no problem paying for streaming service. It's like the old thing I've said again and again and again. The problem with cable isn't the price. The problem with cable is the fact that you have no choice. With the streaming wars, you now have choice.
Right. You have choice, but there are too many choices, I feel like, because to subscribe to all of the services costs as much as a really nice cable plan. So to get the same thing, they figured out a way to make it so that to get to the same thing, it's going to be the same price. So it's really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, in my view. Now, what they're also doing, which has affected my parents and might be affecting some of our other listeners, is some of the streaming, some shows are only available via streaming, and they have a very expensive, very extensive cable plan, and they're not seeing new shows because those new shows are only being streamed. So it's sort of forcing people into streaming who maybe didn't want to go that way anyway. The good news is that the streaming is included in their cable plan. They just need to be able to navigate to it and work the systems so they find what they're looking for. Do you know what I mean? Like, you help me all the time find what I'm looking for. They need a little Tim to help them find what they're looking for.
Okay, then, yeah. But again, WWE Network was one of the first big entertainment companies, like I said, that did offer that. So, as far as the use of technology, wrestling has been at the forefront. Now, in terms of the content they put out, that's a totally different story altogether.
In terms of being on the forefront.
Yeah. I mean, there are times where they definitely are on the forefront, like a few years back with Becky Lynch, with her rise to fame, and being the first woman to main event at WrestleMania. I mean, I would say is a very good example of that. Then you got bad examples, which wrestling history is littered with them.
Mm-hmm. Murders, even, of spouses and stuff.
That's outside of the ring stuff, inside of the ring stuff alone. I mean, with some of the, like, the Iron Sheik. He's a great character on Twitter. I love following him and retweeting his stuff on Twitter. But the character he was playing was racist. It was.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Anyway, but that I definitely had a great time recording with him, and definitely look forward to not only seeing him again, but maybe seeing other professional wrestlers on the show. That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool to have some professional wrestlers to interview?
Indeed. But in the meantime, as we sit here...
before that happens, before that dream comes true, we've got other dreams coming true.
What is that?
We are going to be going to Rose City Comic Con here in just a few weeks. And when we are there, I'm going to be cosplaying for the first time. And I'm really, really excited about it.
And you should be. Obviously, I see the results every day of the costume you are making. But tell the folks at home what you will be going as.
I will be going as a Twi'lek, which is a character from Star Wars that has 2 tentacle type growths on their head. They live on a planet called Ryloth, and they've been subjugated by the Empire for years, and then by the Second Order, or the First Order, and they just are down, and it's a down and out planet that's been oppressed for a long time. But the Twi'leks are down to do whatever. There's some Imperial Twi'leks, there are some Rebel Twi'leks, there are Jedi Twi'leks. They're basically Twi'leks in all walks of life in Star Wars. And they're known, the women are, or the females are known for their beauty and grace, and so they're often dancers and performers and wear beautiful clothing. And then I don't know what the men are particularly good at, but they've got 2 tentacles on their head, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for if you are a Star Wars fan, but for whatever reason can't put a name to a face as to what they look like, just think Bib Fortuna, Jabba the Hutt's number 1 guy in Return of the Jedi.
And Jabba the Hutt's slave dancer, who was also Twi'lek.
Yes, who had a nip slip.
Yes.
Yes, that's been a long time known fact about that. That I guess even in the special editions of the movie, they didn't cut the particular frame to where you could. The woman who falls into the Sarlacc pit. No, it's the monster. I don't know if it's the Sarlacc is the one in the desert.
Yeah, the Sarlacc is the one in the desert. It's I can't remember the name of it either, but it's some monster that's going to eat them.
Yeah. So when she gets down there, just wardrobe malfunction happens to guys and girls alike, and just it went up, and for a brief moment, ping ping.
And I'm sure you've studied that extensively.
Yes. Anyway.
When you heard it, you were immediately like, I'm going to watch that over and over and over and over until I see it.
Oh, it reminds me of a character from Family Guy who is voiced by the actor who does the cartoon Archer. He's in Family Guy, he plays this convenience store cashier, and anytime Chris Griffin comes into the store, he's like, "You remember that movie Species? Remember at the 37-minute, 12-second mark when she took her top off? Yeah, that was cool." In fact, back in the day, there was a magazine that Courtney Love ended up taking the title for the name of a whole album called Celebrity Skin, which was just that. It was paparazzi photos or like stills from movies where actresses had their shirts off.
Wow.
I, of course, heard that from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I'm just waiting on a friend.
But yes, you took this at the Rose City Comic Con. You took that opportunity to, like you said, do cosplaying for the first time, and it's been quite the adventure.
It has been so far. It's gone more smoothly than I thought it would, actually, so far. I've reached the point where less engineering and more art is called for, and so that's where I stumble most. And it takes me, but I'm just not satisfied with the results, and so I hesitate to start on that process or to try because I'm afraid of disappointing myself. But, you never succeed at anything you don't try to do. So
exactly. And what I have been telling you as well with Rose City, once you're there, you're going to understand what I mean. Just the overall atmosphere of Rose City is probably the most positive creative feeling I've ever felt. Just everybody's just there to be happy because they're enjoying the fact that they can celebrate the silly things in pop culture that each one of us loves in one way, shape, or form. So when you hit that hall, I guarantee you're gonna have plenty of people coming up to you and being like, "This looks amazing."
Yeah, I hope so. I just want to feel comfortable. I want it to be comfortable for me to wear, and I want it to I don't want it to look professional or anything. I want people to know what it is.
Yeah, and with the tentacles that you've created that you will be wearing, there will be no mistake what you are.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, come on, we're talking a Comic-Con. It's a scenario. I don't think you're going to find people that are going to be there that won't know what Star Wars is or what a Twi'lek is. So I think they will definitely, they'll definitely know, and they'll definitely appreciate all the hard work you've put into making a great costume.
Well, that'll be fun then.
Indeed. In fact, I even tried to get you to enter the cosplay contest.
I know, but I'm not, it's my first cosplay. There's no need for me to be in a contest.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to a haunt or anything,
But I'm very attracted to this character, to Twi'leks. Like, that maybe my kind of thing is to be different Twi'leks, because they're so diverse, what they can do and what their story is, and they're also really relatable because Ryloth is a lot like Earth, and their society and sort of family units are similar to ours, and yeah, they're beautiful colors. They're purples and blues and pinks and reds, and the red ones are bad. They're Siths.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be red Sith Twi'lek.
You're going to be Peach Twi'lek.
I'm going to be Peach Twi'lek. Princess Peach Twi'lek.
There we go. Like I said, though, you're going to love the overall atmosphere, because, like, the first time I got out of Comic-Con when I went in 2016, just afterwards, that's when I started writing my second book. I mean, it was just that it's an energy, I guess, that you'll feel there. Hopefully it's there this year, because we do have the Delta variant picking up speed.
We do. So did want to talk about that. And as far as we know, at this point, Comic-Con will still be happening. It's September 9th, 10th, and 11th here in Portland, Oregon, at the Oregon Convention Center. And I believe tickets are still available for Friday. I don't know about the other days. I don't know about Saturday, but check it out if you get a chance. And it's, as far as we know, it's going to be happening. They haven't announced that they are canceling or any additional COVID safety protocols or limitations on capacities. So we kind of just don't know at this point. And I think it's yet another one of those things in all of our lives where we have plans, we're getting excited about it, and it may or may not happen. So I know most everybody has had something like that happen during the pandemic. I know I was supposed to go to Mexico, and that got postponed because of the pandemic. You win some, you lose some, I guess. I would rather have the plans to do the fun stuff and have them fall through than not have the fun plans, but I'm definitely hoping that it happens.
Me too. I mean, if it's anything like what happened last year, worst case scenario, if between now and the beginning of September, which is a couple weeks away, they do decide to err on a side of caution and not run it. I mean, we're not going to have to worry about anything about like not getting a refund or anything like that. But at this point, I don't know. Just I think with Portland being Portland, I get the impression that Portland, even though it does see some cases, it's people are, for the most part, are doing what they're supposed to.
Their vaccination rate is pretty high here.
Yeah, so I don't anticipate it being that bad where they consider that. Now, having said that, compared to previous years, the list of special guests they have is not that big. They do have George Takei showing up, so for folks that want to see him, that'll be fun. Christina Ricci, of course, is going to be there as well. But that's really going to be it. Usually in the past, they do get names that would, if you rank them, would be considered a bigger name. Like in the past, they've had the actor playing the Doctor, like Peter Capaldi, showed up, and David Tennant showed up in the past. Stan Lee showed up. So, Stan Lee compared to George Takei, you kind of get the comparative, which is not knocking either, but in terms of overall, percentage of population that are interested in them.
Right, just because Stan Lee had such a huge impact on comics and so many different stories that people are really attached to, whereas George, I think, has a resurging popularity. He's not just some old Trekkie. He actually has like a point of view that I think people are beginning to see in his Twitter and Facebook shenanigans. But yeah, I mean, you're right.
And to be 100% clear for any George Takei fan that may be listening here, I am not knocking him in any way, shape, or form. It's just you gotta just be open with that. It would be like me being upset that somebody said that Joe Rogan has more listeners than Friends Talking Nerdy. I mean, we both I feel we put out a great product. Joe Rogan feels he puts out a great product, but more people know him. That's it. That's all we're seeing here.
Yeah.
So in terms of the people that you can visit, in terms of the celebrities, not as much. I think there's going to be a Hobbit there too, but who cares?
Oh, no, there's 2 hobbits. It's going to be the boys. Billy Boyd and... Oh, maybe not Billy Boyd. I don't know exactly.
Sean Astin.
And then not Billy Boyd, but the other... Not Pip, but the other little Hobbit guy.
I mean, with Sean Astin, it would be cool to ask him a story about his father. I mean, his father's Gomez Addams.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, John Astin.
Oh.
Yeah, he married Patty Duke and was married to Patty Duke for a while. Patty Duke is his mother.
Really? Patty Duke is his mother? He seems too young to have Patty Duke as a mother.
I think he's in his 50s now. I mean, because remember, he was a child actor in The Goonies.
Yeah, that's true. He was younger than me. He's probably my age, honestly.
Yeah, give or take. I mean, so, I mean, it would be cool. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to talk to him. But in terms of, like, the big-time celebrities are not coming out in force like they have in previous years. We are going to have a number of great comic book creators here. Now, Brian Bendis, of course, is going to be the biggest name on the list, and he's probably going to be very hard. I mean, we could probably get to a point to where we can get an autograph, but there will never be a time to where we'll be able to just walk up to his table and have a quick conversation with him. He's always going to have people that want autographs.
Yep.
Yeah, having said that, there will be what I'm most excited for more than anything is just visiting all of the other independent artists here, whether it's writers or artists. Imagine that, selling their stuff, selling the like copies of independent comic books that they create. It's great seeing new stories that are out there like that, and just seeing some of the artist alley trinkets to buy. I mean, there's so much great inventive stuff that you can buy, even if it's something as silly as a Super Friends logo put on a white t-shirt that
Did you get that at Comic-Con?
I got that at Comic-Con.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so so it's just all the stuff you can do, like like I told you, the vintage video game section. They will, if it's like in terms of the type of exhibits that they have, if it's anything comparable to previous years, they will also have like a huge area of various different board games that you can play. So like Dungeons and Dragons or type of thing, or other board games that you can think of.
Magic, the card game.
Magic, yeah, and tons and tons of comics, toy. I mean, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be. I mean, this is like me, if I'm out shopping, and you've seen me shopping, I'm a person that needs to know what I'm going to get, go exactly to where I'm going to get, and then get out of that store as quickly as possible. Comic-Con is the one time that I'm slowing down and looking through almost everything.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Well, I can't wait. That's going to be super fun.
Yes, so my prediction is that, I think it will happen. It will be disappointing if it doesn't, but what would be more disappointing is them holding it and then finding out it became a super spreader event. So I think I can temper my wait for Comic-Con another year if they do ultimately go and cancel it, because that would be the smart thing to do if health officials feel it would be a danger to run it.
Yeah. And, I don't know when the date is. I haven't been keeping as close an eye on it as I had been during the school year. To know, like, is there an announcement coming up from the governor or from OHA, the Oregon Health Authority, people that we would hear from regarding further COVID restrictions? I was reading a post on Facebook from a nurse friend of mine here in Portland, and they were noting that people were talking about a peak to this wave, the Delta wave, being in about 6 weeks. And that's based on the prior waves and sort of extrapolating what that would be like. But my nurse friend said, but this is the Delta variant. It's much more easily spread, and the models that they're using aren't accounting for that, apparently. So I think we just don't know I'm not hearing anybody sort of explain like they know what's going on. And there's a big Union Pacific cargo train going along the other side of the gorge, probably to the Port of Portland, to deliver a bunch of containers to ships that will take those containers all over the world and bring us back stuff.
Yes, so as far as any official government notices, I mean, the only thing I've heard is that our county here, Multnomah, where Rose City Comic Con will be taking place, is requiring that regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not, you wear a mask. That's the limit of what I've heard, and it's possible they could ramp it up beforehand, but the numbers would have to be bad. But then again, I think back, like I know somebody, the person's been on the show before, Kim the Geek, who works in healthcare as well. And she's brought up the fact that, that being on the front lines, you see how bad things are going, and that, people don't realize just yet just how bad it is. So hopefully I think the government assessment overall that I've heard so far is that they want people who are vaccinated to essentially resume the social distancing practices that if they can, that they had during the height of the pandemic. But just if you do get the Delta variant, it's not going to be not potentially as severe as it would be without getting vaccinated at all.
Right, though I know 2 people now who have gotten the Delta variant who were vaccinated from work.
Yeah, and the moment that came out of my mouth, I did think back to Kim the Geek. Kim the Geek has a friend who did pass away recently due to the Delta variant, and he was vaccinated as well. So to your point, what you said earlier, it is completely unknown. And the professor, we have got a sea lion. Oh my God, this is awesome. Got a sea lion just dipping into the water. This is awesome. This is live, folks. You cannot get this anywhere else. It's dipped underwater. Sea lions are awesome.
Yeah, so we are sitting right next to the channel on the Columbia, and there is a sea lion that is swimming along with a boat that has come fresh from the ocean, I would imagine. But we saw a sea lion just tuck his head out right next to us, blow some air out of his nose, and then dive back under the water, and we're just waiting to see if we can see him.
Yes, another big industrial boat is going past right now. I don't know if we'll see the sea lion again, but that was pretty cool. This was not the beach we went to. It was the other beach that had the hawk that dived into the water to grab a fish.
That's right.
That was cool. But yeah, we got the big ship. This is just, if you get a chance to go to the Pacific Northwest, head to the beach or the forest or both, because there is some beautiful scenery here. Just like, it is Oregon Trail game was no joke. This is definitely the type of land that would make me want to cross a fjord.
Oh, I'd cross a fjord.
And risk getting dysentery.
Losing my oxen.
Something like that. But anyway, so that is the state of the world as we are here at Friends Talking Nerdy.
Yep. That's the state of the world. It's beautiful. It's right before sunset. Everything's taking on that sort of very subdued, saturated color of the late evening.
It's like an Eagles album cover. I'm walking home for that.
You are such a douchebag.
Anyway, and the sun just dipped below the horizon. It just did. It was just there when I had my head turned earlier. So you have to trust me at home, folks. It was just there, I swear.
Beautiful sunset.
All right. So anything else we want to talk about?
I don't think so.
All right, then I think we'll wrap up episode 197.
Woohoo! Just 2 more till episode 200.
Yes, I had... Uh-oh.
It's awake.
Oh, no.
It's awake.
Is this going to come our way?
It's awake.
Oh, shit. Okay, that big boat that just came on by... Is it going to be that bad? Okay, the big-ass boat that just came on by has just brought a wave that is coming our way that we think may be washing up on our belongings. It's petering out. It's petering out.
Okay.
It's petering
I
out.
had a little panic, sorry.
Yeah.
It petered.
It petered. Peter. Anyway. So, yeah, let's wrap it up. So, once again, I was definitely excited with the results of episode 196, the conversation with Matt Wadsworth from AIW. And, we've had a good time here at the beach. So, so thank you all for listening. 197 episodes now. And we hope you listen for a lot more episodes after that. Stay tuned to this podcast space every Wednesday and Saturday because we will have something to entertain your ear holes. We bid you adieu.
Adieu.
Mon ami.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy on iTunes, the Google Play Music Store, as well as Spotify. Remember to support Friends Talking Nerdy on Patreon. Goodbye, darling.